right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Well, hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. It's been a little bit since I've hosted Sports Call. Was off for Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. But hey, what a week to come back. The week Steelers-Ravens, big rivalry game. And this year, once again, looks like it'll be a battle for the top spot in the division. So very exciting time. I also want to shout out Pitt volleyball. Very impressive win tonight over UMBC. They swept UMBC for the first round of the NCAA tournament. They are hosting the first and second rounds because they are the 1 seed, and Michigan beat Xavier. So now Pitt will play Michigan tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, get over to the Pete and support these women as they make their 4th straight Final Four run. Hopefully they can win it all this time because, yeah, 5 straight years they've gone to the tournament. The last 4 they've made it to the semifinals. So hopefully they can win it this year. And I had the pleasure of talking to Dan Fisher just yesterday, actually, and he said this is the best team they've had. So if you want to see some elite volleyball, head over to the Pete, support these women as they hopefully bring a national championship back to Pittsburgh. But yeah, switching gears to some football, we have a lot to talk about this weekend. I'm joined alongside Brian Batko. And Bri, some big news today with Kyle Duggar being out. You know, this is a guy that the Steelers picked up 5 games ago, and in those 5 games, he's had 4 pass deflections. That pick 6 just really has come in and been a huge asset for this team very quickly. So this is going to be a huge loss, especially against such a high-powered offense. I mean, granted, this year maybe not as high-powered, but you know, you're going to have to lock down Derrick Henry. You're going to have to shut down that pass game, and who's going to do it? Yeah,
Cassie, I mean, the Ravens had some huge plays last week on Thanksgiving night against the Bengals that were wiped out, one by a penalty and one by basically a lost fumble through the end zone by tight end Isaiah Likely. So the 14 points that they scored against that horrific Bengals defense, somewhat misleading. I'm not going to count out Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry and company just yet. But yeah, this hand injury for Kyle Duggar kind of snuck up on us this week at Steelers practice. You know, he was out there on Wednesday per the injury report, and then all of a sudden he's added on Thursday, and he's out for the game. So they're back to the drawing board at safety after he had kind of stabilized things post the Sean Elliott knee injury. I would think they're going to turn to Chuck Clark, a former Raven himself. So, I mean, he at least knows some of that roster a little bit. Much has changed over since he was in Baltimore. But I think when he was having struggles earlier this year, he was maybe miscast a little bit. If he can just come up and help stop the run, maybe Chuck Clark won't be too much of a drop-off from Kyle Duggar.
I mean, that would be, you know, hopeful. This position has just been beaten up all season, like you mentioned, to Sean Elliott and now Duggar. So hopefully, yeah, Chuck Clark can step up and fill that role. Now,
and if he doesn't, Jabril Peppers could be in the mix too. When, you know, he's still on the roster, and you know, this isn't an easy game for the safeties because the Ravens have maybe the best tight end tandem in the NFL, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, if he's not fumbling out of the end zone, which, by the way, is so crazy. I feel like we've seen that time and time again this season, more so than ever before. So it's crazy to witness that again. Now, a guy on the offensive side who, hey, it would be really cool to see this guy get in. I don't know how much damage he'll do, especially now that they've signed Adam Thielen. But there's been some rumors that maybe MVS could see the field on Sunday. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting if, you know, all of a sudden the dam breaks and Marquez Valdez-Scantling gets an opportunity the same week that they go out and claim Adam Thielen. But in today's NFL, where you can elevate players from the practice squad, it really doesn't matter where you're coming from to play on Sundays or Thursdays or Mondays. So it could just be a situation where it's like, hey, Thielen, get in line. You know, you'll get the next crack at this after we work our way down to the veteran, the Aaron Rodgers confidant who hasn't even gotten an opportunity yet. So if that happens Sunday, which, you know, to answer your question, would not surprise me, it'd be kind of funny because it would be Aaron Rodgers gets what Aaron Rodgers wants. The Steelers practiced indoors all 3 days this week after he made those comments post-Bills about maybe not having the best practices and not thriving in the elements. So they were indoors all week. Granted, it snowed in Pittsburgh, so that's also reason to go inside. But yes, Valdez-Scantling has been kind of picking up dust on the practice squad. It sounded like they were going to try to get him up to speed pretty quickly when they first brought him in. That hasn't happened, but something needs to give for this offense. So I wouldn't blame them if they try to play that card now.
Yeah, just keep adding pass catchers, you know. You can never have too many. And
7 receivers on the active roster right now, and it could be 8 if Valdez-Scantling is elevated on Sunday.
Well, yeah, and then if you include all the tight ends, and Pat Freiermuth, who got 17 snaps and 0 targets last week, you add him into the mix too, and people are asking, where has he been? He needs more snaps. Well, if you're adding 2 more receivers to the mix and Thielen and MVS, then I mean, it's really gonna get spread out. I don't even think he'll hit 20 snaps again on Sunday if this is happening.
And I think the 2 guys that stand to lose the most from these veterans coming in are probably Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson. And I think the Steelers, the front office, the coaching staff, they'd been pretty bullish on those 2, and they were confident enough in them that you go back to the offseason after trading George Pickens, they didn't do much to replace that spot. They signed Robert Woods. He didn't even end up making the team out of training camp. They kept tabs on Gabe Davis, who was here last week with the Bills. Ultimately, they decided, we're good. We've got these young guys. We think they can step up, but obviously it's been too inconsistent thus far this season, and maybe it is time to see if some different options for Aaron Rodgers can help shake loose this passing game and get him out of the funk that he's been in really since that loss in LA.
Yeah, and it would be helpful too if it's a familiar face like MVS. Maybe those 2 reuniting will help that. You mentioned George Pickens. We're going to get to him as well. Some craziness online. Who's shocked by that? Also, guys, our Penn West University question of the night. If you want to scan your phone up there, tap the QR code. What grade would you give the Penn State hiring of Matt Campbell? And we'll dive into that a little bit too. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Penn State is retaining Terry Smith as part of Matt Campbell's Penn State staff. As Penn State's interim coach, the ex-Nittany Lions star wide receiver led the team to 3 straight wins to close out the year. Terry Smith finished 3-3, but yeah, those 3 straight to close it out. And it just speaks to his dedication to this university and how loyal he is to State College and to Penn State to want to stick around the way he has. I've read somewhere too that he was actually potentially up for head coaching jobs at like UConn, maybe Memphis, but he turned it down because he just wants to stay at Penn State. So, that's huge for recruiting and stuff like that for Penn State. But Matt Campbell, our question of the night tonight, how would you grade Penn State's hiring of him? I'm going to have to go with like a B+ right now, Bri. I think it's very difficult to win at Iowa State, obviously being there 10 years, having 8 winning seasons the way he did. And 2, played in the championship game twice. I think, and then I saw a video too of the athletic director at Iowa State, just talking about how important Matt Campbell has been to that program, and he got teary-eyed and emotional about it, just talking about the impact he's made there. So I do think Penn State is getting a good guy. Can he compete to the level that Penn State fans want him to compete at? That's the question.
Yeah, I think B+ sounds about right. And a lot of raises were received by the guys that were supposedly on the short list for this gig.
$750 million, I saw, was the graphic on the raises that these men have gotten.
Thank you, Penn State, helping the economy.
Right, exactly. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. They are lighting up tonight. We got Jimmy in Point Breeze. Jimmy, what's going on?
Hey, Cassidy, Brian, thanks for taking my call. So I wanted to talk about the Buccos trade. So I'm not opposed to the trade. I think it was a fair one. We give up Oviedo and we get back Garcia, whose first name I won't try to say.
The password.
But, the password. That's his nickname because no one can say it, which I love.
The password, yes. But it wasn't the trade we needed. What my dreams for the offseason was us making a trade for a Red Sox outfielder. But the outfielder I wanted was Duran or Abreu. And so while this isn't a terrible trade, what we need to do right now while the Skeens clock is ticking away is get guys that are major leaguers.
Yes.
Not a guy who might contribute this year, who only played a handful of games at AAA, but a guy who can contribute right now.
Yeah, Jimmy, I agree with you. He got brought up. His debut was in August. He went 1 for 7 at the plate and then went back down. So not a whole lot of major league experience there. And it's tough when you continue to trade for prospects and you don't know how these guys are going to pan out. So honestly, didn't excite me very much. I'm same with you. I'd like to see some bigger hitters come here to Pittsburgh, especially as that Skeens clock is ticking, like you said. All right, let's go to JB and Shady Side. JB, what's going on?
Oh, hey, how are you guys?
Hey, JB.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, so, like, with Mike Tomlin, like, I don't care where you go. If you can't identify a quarterback, you're not going to really win that many games at the high, especially, like, in the playoffs or a bowl game or anything like that. So I don't know what to say. I mean, he could really be up against it for the rest of his career, in my opinion. If you can't identify a quarterback, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely inherited Big Ben, so, there's that. And then since then, the quarterback play has been mediocre at best. And look, Aaron Rodgers, we all thought, we didn't really know what to expect with him coming in just because he is at the end of his career. This is his final year playing. So we really didn't know what the threshold would be for Rodgers. But we knew he was coming in as a 41-year-old quarterback, just turned 42. Injuries are going to be an issue, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, not to defend Mike, because the quarterback situation post-Ben has been really bleak, but it's not that simple to just say, hey, this guy's good at identifying quarterbacks and this guy's not. Like, it's not an exact science. That's what everybody's trying to figure out every year in the draft. I mean, you look at Kyle Shanahan from the 49ers. I mean, he's supposed to be one of the savviest X's and O's and most brilliant offensive minds in football. They trade up for Trey Lance, and he's hanging on by a thread to even stay in the league. Now, fortunately for the Niners, they also identified Brock Purdy at the end of that draft, but that strikes me more as dumb luck than anything else. So my point is, it's very difficult to know and evaluate quarterbacks coming out of college. But yes, the Tomlin's experience with them in the post-Ben era has been rough, whether it's rookies, second chance guys like Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields, or these long-in-the-tooth vets like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. They've tried everything at this point, Cassidy. Yeah,
but going off of that, though, Bri, I can't counter your point with this. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, yeah, he's a great offensive mind. He's making Brock Purdy look like a potential future Hall of Famer. If you have mediocre quarterback play, if your offensive coordinator is that brilliant, or you as a head coach are that brilliant as an offensive mind, you should be able to make a mediocre quarterback look decent, especially if you have weapons like they have right now in Jaylen Warren, who is a steady down back. And, I mean, they have DK Metcalf, who, by the way, is making, $30 million a year right now? So I feel like if the scheme was the right thing, like Aaron Rodgers, although Rodgers has a lot to do with that. So, yeah. All right, let's go to Thomas in Greenberg. Thomas, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing? First time. I want to talk about Rodgers. I honestly believe he's doing okay at his age right now. I just don't see our receivers getting open. So how do you throw to somebody if they're not open?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way he kind of said that this week. There's not many options downfield, because I think he's 0 for 13 right now on 20-plus yards passing in the last 5 games. And so he was asked about that this week, and he said, look, there's just not many options downfield. DK's getting doubled. Who else is going to catch the ball?
Yeah, Thomas, I mean, he did say that, and, I guess I applaud his candor on one hand, but on the other, I don't necessarily know that that's ever really what you want to hear from your quarterback, and I think there's probably a case to be made out there that during this skid right now that the Steelers are on, Aaron Rodgers isn't exactly taking the most accountability for their struggles. I think he's taken some, but I feel like there's a national perception now from people that are staring from the outside in or swooping down on the ins and outs of the Steelers day to day of, same old stuff now with Rodgers. It's like the end of his Jets tenure where he's doing the finger pointing, even though he's not the same guy that won 4 MVPs when he was in Green Bay. I don't know if it's going to get worse than this, but, clearly there was frustration from him after that Bills game. And, the offensive scheme is what it is. I always happen to think that when you've got a mobile quarterback, that gives you a nice get-out-of-jail-free card if no one's open, and you can tuck it, take off, and run. But That's not Rodgers at age 42, and happy belated birthday to him.
And full circle, I mean, who knows? Maybe Adam Thielen and MVS can be those long shots for him. Who knows?
Oldest receiver in the league as well now they've got.
Yeah, that's just, you know what? That's the narrative of this 2025 Steelers team, oldest team in the NFL history. We're going to go back out to the phone lines because we have a lot of people calling in tonight. We have Jim in Greentree. Jim, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Hey, okay, there's 4 reasons why the Steelers are going to lose Sunday. They don't have no defense. They have receivers can't run the route right, and they should never trade George Pickens. And number 4 is hit the road, Thomas, and don't come back.
I don't know if that last one was a reason, but certainly the
man.
comment is heard from Jim.
You know, I think he echoes most fans what they're saying right now. Now, he did mention George Pickens. I wanted to touch on this, Bri, before we close. Man, he is so hot and cold. This is a guy, this is what we expected. This is what we witnessed when he was here in Pittsburgh. One day, he seems like a decent guy who's an elite competitor and an incredible wide receiver. And then the next day, 24 hours later, he could come out and be completely different.
I don't know that I saw many of the decent guy days from George, but yes, we certainly saw his talent on display, and he's been showing that a lot this year for the Cowboys. But then last night, game probably out of reach against the Lions, a deep ball, he just kind of lets it fall at his feet, doesn't even make a play for it. Look that play up if you missed it. That was kind of the George Pickens story. If the game's not going to be winnable, he kind of checks out. He's done for the night.
And then hops on social media and yells at Richard Sherman.
And that, yes.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this Friday night. Guys, thank you for listening and watching. We appreciate it. And like I said, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I will be back here tomorrow night, same place, same time. Bri, real quick, who's going to win? What's your score prediction? Ravens 27, Steelers 17. Happy birthday shout out to my wife tonight as well, by the way. Happy birthday, Mrs. Batko. All right, guys, have a good night. See you next time, tomorrow night.